Now, more than ever, there is an imperative need for people to understand the nature of credit in a capitalist society. In a time when we are seeing the high seas of finance increasingly rocked by rolling crisis and systemic instability, from Enron to the subprime mortgage debacle to the dot-com bubble to the Asian financial crisis, in such a time, it is imperative that average citizens develop a useful critique of the way credit functions in the global economy. The workings of the world of finance are tangled and confusing. To most of us, it all seems to take place behind closed doors through a dizzying array of credit instruments and agents, stocks, bonds, futures, shorts, hedge funds, all things very few of us really understand. Actually, most people in the world of finance don't understand it either. This video will not seek to explain all of the details of those complicated credit instruments and procedures. Instead, it will explain the credit system in the abstract, asking three main questions. One, why is there credit? What is credit? And why should we care about it? First of all, if you haven't seen any of my videos on capitalism or capital, I suggest you watch those first. This will be building on the theme of the circuit of capital. This is the basic circuit of capital. MCM. Money, commodities, money. Capitalists must constantly be turning their money into commodities and then back again in order to compete with each other. The production process, in which the commodities of raw material and labor power create new commodities of greater value for the capitalist to sell for profit. This production process is the sole source of value creation in a capitalist economy. If this circuit of capital is ever broken, if capital is ever frozen in any stage of the process in the form of money or commodities, it loses its value. And this is bad. This is the stuff that economic crisis is made out of. Recessions, depressions. So capitalists are always looking to perfect the circuit of capital, to turn their money into commodities and then back into money again, faster and faster, more efficiently. Unfortunately, this is easier said than done because there are many temporal and spatial inconsistencies in the circuit of capital, which keep MCM from moving smoothly. In order for capitalists to make their initial investments, MC, they need money. If the investment is a small one, this isn't too much of a problem, but oftentimes capitalists need a lot of money to build a factory or skyscraper, for research and development. In order to save up the money for this investment, they would have to hoard their money, that is, take it out of the circuit of capital long enough to save up for the investment. And this is not a desirable solution because, as I've already stated, the goal is to constantly keep money circulating through the circuit of capital. That's the whole point of being a capitalist. This is where credit comes to the rescue, as we'll discuss in a moment. And once money is invested in new production, capitalists still have a problem. The building of factories and skyscrapers and roads takes a long time. The money they've invested in production is frozen in production, waiting for projects to be completed outside of the circuit of capital. And then, once the project is complete, it still might take years to recover the cost of a skyscraper or a factory. Capitalists want that money back right away so that they can return it to the circuit of capital. They don't want to wait around 30, 40, 50 years to recover the cost of their production. And different types of production have different turnover times. Some commodities can be made in a matter of seconds. Others take years. Capitalism is plagued by a confusing diversity of turnover times. It is constantly seeking to get new products on the shelves for consumers to buy and to invest new money in production. But the diversity in production times makes it hard for all this to be coordinated. Lastly, people have to buy back all of this stuff in order to complete the circuit of capital, in order to turn commodities back into money. Remember that in the production process, workers are always creating more value than existed previously. But consumers don't always have enough money to buy back all of those commodities. The basic problem in all of these examples is that of time and money. The production of value takes time, but the circuit of capital only functions smoothly when time is not a barrier. This is where credit comes to the rescue. So what is credit? Credit advances money capital ahead of the production of real value. Let me say that again. Credit advances money capital to the people who need it prior to the creation of actual value. When capitalists need money for an investment, they borrow it. Eventually, value is created in the production process, and they can pay back the loan. When consumers need money to buy commodities with, they borrow it. Eventually, they create the value of that loan in the form of wages for their labor, and they use that to pay back the loan. As long as the economy continues to produce enough value to pay back all the credit that has been advanced, capitalism grows at an even pace. But when production can't keep up with the growth of credit, we see explosive, destructive results. Let's look a little closer at the process of credit creation to see how this process works. When a company needs a ton of money for an investment, they sell shares of the company as stock. When you buy shares in one of these initial public offerings, you are lending the company money in return for a share of future profits. The piece of paper you receive, saying that you own a share of future profit, is a type of credit money. Its value is fictitious. That is, you have no way of knowing for sure how much value that stock certificate represents. If the company is profitable, its shares will be worth a lot. If the company goes belly up, its shares are worthless. People then trade and sell these stocks, these fictitious values, to each other on the stock market. In a form of mass insanity, traders buy and sell slips of paper that are nothing more than fictitious values, promises of the creation of future value. The price of these stocks can then inflate way above the actual value of the company due to hype, trends, rumors, false information. In the dot-com bubble of the 90s, we saw over-enthusiasm and hype about internet markets create a huge speculative bubble, that is, a rise in stock prices way above the actual assets or future assets of a company. In the case of Enron, we saw a company prop up its stock prices by cooking its books, that is, lying about the actual value created by the company.
Won't you step into my office, please? Let me give you a hot tip, strictly confidential. For a limited time only, we are offering to discriminating buyers like yourself a few shares in a world-famous company with mines in Nigeria, Tasmania, Somaliland, and Brooklyn. It's Utopium Unlimited. It glows in the dark.
Because fictitious values can inflate so far above real values, there is a lot of money to be made by playing the stock market. At the same time, the most profitable investments are often the riskiest. While great wealth can be made on the stock market, no value is actually created. In fact, the value of stock is always eventually beholden to the actual production of value in society by productive capitalists, not financial capitalists. At the same time, the actions of stock traders has real effects on the economy. We're noticing a lot of these effects now as we see what happens when the fashions of finance create huge speculative bubbles in mortgages.